we're back now with Marek Zareba, Operations Director of CrowdTilt.com. Marek, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on the show.
My pleasure. I'm very excited to talk to you. I've been studying crowdfunding for about 3.5 years in our various shows. And I've learned a lot about it, and I've seen kind of the strengths and weaknesses and how it has evolved. And I think when you take a fantastic tool like crowdfunding and you put that into the hands and brains of thousands of entrepreneurs around the world, it's going to evolve and change. And I think you guys have kind of leapfrogged over a lot of mistakes of some past crowdfunding attempts, and I think you guys have done some very cool things and innovative, and I'm very interested to hear more about it. So why don't you just kind of give us an overview first of CrowdTilt and why you became the very first employee.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a very exciting space, and you're right, over the last 3.5 years or 5 years, the landscape has definitely broadened significantly. And I absolutely love working at CrowdTilt, primarily because it's definitely one of the most horizontal platforms, and it's probably one of the easiest ones to use. So while some of the big players try to specialize on one certain vertical and have some restrictions on what you cannot do, CrowdTilt is definitely more flexible in what you can do. So you can use it for something very, very small, which is like a birthday gift for your friends, where the whole mechanism of nobody gets charged until everybody pays applies just as much, all the way to a big brand using our powerful business tools to handle pre-orders for new products coming out, or even handling some remnant inventory sales. So I just love the fact that we are, with a simple mechanism of crowdfunding, able to cover the entire spectrum, and seeing everything from small all the way to really big projects.
Some of the early press that you guys got, I think, focused on the fact that you could pay for a dinner together, some of the small things, and we'll get back to that. But let's talk about some of the bigger picture things about either the potential or the success of some of the bigger campaigns that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And over the time we've developed different product offerings. So we can have something as easy as our Sell Something suite, which allows you to get up and running very quickly, build a following of buyers, and you can just churn out products very quickly and just use the pre-order functionality to gauge demand from the market, all the way to our white label solution, CrowdTilt Open, which allows you to do full customization, have complete control over the customer journey. We can keep them on your own domain and have everything look and feel just like your own website. So we can accommodate sellers very small to very big with the same mechanism of crowdfunding.
A lot of the publicity comes from the big splashy success stories. Do you have any of those yet that you can talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had many, and it's very exciting from inside to see these take off. And every time one of them launches, we're just always excited. We just want to see how far they can go, and we're always internally rooting for everybody, providing lots of support, not just on customer support, but on marketing, on PR, on customization, and just communicating best practices. But even with our CrowdTilt Open platform, even just the very first project we've had was Soylent, the replacement for the traditional nutrition. And just within the first day, I think they completely blew past their initial goal of 100,000. I think they raised close to $1 million, and then went on over the next few months just to raise significantly more money. I think ending up at the $3 or $4 million mark. And that was just the first project we had on our business platform. So ever since then, we've had significantly other bigger successes. We had working with Dick's Sporting Goods, having more of a fundraising platform of 180 simultaneous campaigns, raising I think more than $2 million with complete matching from Dick's Sporting Goods, just really surpassing past all of their goals. All the way to Lightro, the innovative camera maker, raising also significant amount of money. And unfortunately, I can't share the numbers, but raising a significant amount of money in the pre-orders of the new product that they were introducing, and being able to gauge the demand and seeing if at the current price point, the market is actually responding. So again, it's been fantastic to see from the inside, just with a simple tool of just this pre-order mechanism of seeing how much demand there is in the market, and only produce what has been sold.
Well, you bring up a very good point. I actually saw the maker of Soylent being interviewed on Press Here in Palo Alto, the TV show, and I didn't really connect it to CrowdTilt. So it seems like, you know, some of these campaigns are not getting as much publicity as they did originally, and that people are telling me that just doing a crowdfunding campaign is no longer a story. So what does it really take in terms of outreach for publicity, social media, or whatever to make a campaign become successful today?
Yeah, so let me address it in 2 points. So the first one was like the minimal branding of CrowdTilt. So that's actually something we very consciously pursue. So with our white label solution, CrowdTilt Open, we just want to be the facilitating platform. We don't want to get in the way of the story. We want each of the creators, each of the companies to tell their own story. This is why Soylent has been amazing, and you know we loved it working with the team because they were very savvy. They were savvy marketers, they were savvy PR people that were able to get enough momentum in the media and create the story that they wanted. And you know, we're just a facilitating part on the payment side, and we love being that partner. Now, in the amount of work that it takes for successful for a crowdfunding campaign, it definitely comes down to the fundamentals. Like there needs to be some kind of initial interest. There needs to be some demand, and ideally, you know, as a project creator, you've built a tiny community. Maybe you've even had a prototype. You try to get some feedback on. And then as you do your big launch, you just have a few of the pieces in place, and that's something we can definitely help you with. We have a dedicated PR team that we can help some with the campaigns as well, and just say, okay, here's the best practices. Make sure here's a checklist of everything you want to do before you launch. And part of that might be to build a little bit of hype to make sure that there's some initial interest, because the first few hours of a crowdfunding campaign are the most crucial. If you don't get enough traction in the first few hours, it's sometimes difficult to kind of build up the momentum because people that come across the campaign page, they just don't see like, oh, but nobody's really into this project. So we want to help you, and this is where we spend most of the time on, just to optimize and maximize the first few hours after you launch to make sure that you're up and running and you just going to skyrocket from there on out.
What do you think of pre-crowdfunding preparation? How important is that?
So it touches different areas depending on how big the project is. If you have a smaller project, you know, it's just about getting fundamentals right. Have a catchy title, have a good description, you know, address some of the very common questions that you're going to have, so that you don't create a barrier for people to contribute, but you're just answering all the stuff so they can hit the buy button. So that's fundamental stuff we can help very easily. Now, if you have a bigger project that you require a very, very wide audience and a lot of exposure, there are certain other things that we can help you with, such as, you know, finding exclusive coverage from, you know, probably the biggest writer that you can find in a reputable outlet, and working with that writer to really craft a story. And we can help with that as well, and just making sure that we can tell the story in the most compelling way and just highlight why this is such an innovative project, or why is it such an innovative cause, and what we're trying to do. So we've, you know, even here locally, we've been working with the Bay Bridge project in San Francisco, which is this huge lights installation on the bridge. And, you know, just working with them and making sure that they have all the pieces in place and making sure they have all the support they can get to generate as much interest as possible. You know, it's a very ambitious goal, and, you know, we're very confident they're going to reach it. We just want to make sure that all the key building blocks are in place.
Do you have any plans yet for entering into the equity crowdfunding space?
Again, it's a very exciting market, you know, with the Jobs Act coming out and, you know, a lot of the details being fleshed out. You know, this is definitely something it's a very, very interesting opportunity. At the same time, we're also building out our API, which would allow anybody else to build on top of the powerful CrowdTilt engine that we've built. You know, with the equity stuff, there's a lot of more administrative paperwork, and you know, it's a very interesting space. And you know, the regulation has been lagging a little bit, so we haven't really pursued it. We're really building our core brand around the consumer experience of just making, you know, amazing things happen, whether that's on a social basis or on a more commerce platform for businesses. So we're kind of really focusing on that. We want to get as good as we possibly can get. And as the regulation kind of settles a little bit, then we'll definitely like to explore other opportunities as well.
I wanted to ask that question before I talked a little bit more about marketing of crowdfunding campaigns. And one area that I find particularly exciting for both equity and rewards is retargeting ads, where people can go see a campaign, maybe they don't quite donate right then, but then they pick up a pixel and they're followed around, and there's a nice little banner ad jumping out at them that's not Macy's or somebody else, and it's just a little reminder, maybe an update on the campaign, or we're getting closer to the goal, or there's 3 or 4 days left. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, I'm a very big fan, and we actually, on a personal level, help a lot of campaign creators to set up their advertising channels as well, whether that's retargeting, but also looking at lookalike audiences, trying to even broaden the experience. So a lot of the bigger projects we've had, we've been very successful in just either communicating those best practices or just lending a hand if we needed to. But it's definitely it's a very powerful channel that lots of platforms have tapped into.
Help us understand the difference between a small crowdfunding campaign and sell something.
Yeah, this is great. So a small crowdfunding campaign could be just getting a group of friends together to go out for dinner and over the weekend. So for example, I just now used it today to get my friends to pay me back for dinner that I paid for on Saturday, actually on Friday for July 4th. Just a good example is renting, for example, a boat to go out in the lake. So you don't want to pay down the deposit until all your friends are in. So you say, hey, we need at least $1,000 for this boat. You send out the link to all your friends, and as soon as everybody pays and you cover the $1,000, you go and put down the deposit for the boat. So that's the perfect social use case. That extends to gifts, party buses, parties, events, anything. Sell something, it's a little bit interesting. It's interesting because the focus is more on you buying an item that might have a size, a color, or there's a specific selector, and you really care about the number of units you're going to sell. So I will only make this t-shirt if I can sell at least 50 of them before it makes sense for me financially. So you're really mitigating your production risk and you're gauging the demand. So it's a little bit different. It's more focused towards sellers and wanting to sell items. So this pre-order functionality. And it's a subtle change on our platform, but it can have a tremendous impact. So if you're a celebrity and you have 2 million people following you on Twitter, you're just saying like, hey, I have this new product I'm introducing. Let's come together and let's make it. And it could be very unique to who you are. It could be as simple as a t-shirt, but it could be a unique product that you offer. And you only make it if enough people are interested in it. And the beauty, because why this so works and why crowdfunding in general works so well, is because you have, as a buyer or as a contributor to this campaign, you have such an inherent motivation to share this with your friends. Because you want that item, and the only way you can get that item is if you pass that initial threshold. So, lately we've been working with some musicians, most recently with Snoop Dogg. So Snoop Dogg just released a t-shirt that was very unique to a video that he just released, and was able, over the course of a week to sell several hundred t-shirts to his loyal fans. But people were buying from Snoop Dogg. It wasn't from his web store. It was from him. And then Snoop Dogg was able to go in and say, like, thank you so much for buying me. This is so awesome. And by the way, here's some updates on the shipping. So it's a very personable experience. Working really, really well for celebrities. It works well for brands. We've been working with some local brands here as well, just handling pre-orders of new shoes. They're trying to come with new colors. And really just gauging the demand in the market. So Sell Something is really focused around brands and celebrities being able to sell and use it more as a commerce platform, using the pre-order or the crowdfunding mechanism. So we've seen a lot of successes internally again, and can't wait to kind of build that out even more and support these brands even more and make them as successful as possible.
So is it is one of the, tell me about the most important parts of it. Is one of them that it's a place people can go and understand that they are pre-ordering. They're not going to another e-commerce site where they're just buying a product. Is that part of the appeal?
Yeah, it's two-sided. So on the buyer side, it's a very simple platform. It's very easy to understand. Everything's in one place, and you're buying directly from the brand. So I'm still buying from Snoop Dogg now with a facilitating intermediary, but it's not as apparent because it's set up in a very personal way. And it's the same way with the brand. You're buying from that brand. Now, if you're a larger brand, you can definitely shift over into our CrowdTilt Open, the white label solution, to have complete customization and complete control over that journey, so that you never even leave their website. So if I'm on a apparel website, let's say Nike.com, like I never have to leave Nike. I will be on a subdomain of Nike. Everything looks exactly the way the store does, and I'm buying from there. Like as a consumer, I never know I even left that site, and I facilitated my transaction through CrowdTilt, which is perfect for us because we just want to empower the functionality and show brands of how powerful this can be in introducing new products and doing pre-order mechanism for products that they try and come up with.
Okay, now just in summary, just give me a little elevator pitch of somebody who is kind of weighing their options, maybe Kickstarter, Indiegogo. Why should they tilt toward CrowdTilt?
Yeah, for different people, different reasons, but it's definitely the most flexible and the most open crowdfunding solution out there. We allow you to integrate third-party solutions. And looking at the fees, we're also definitely the lowest fee platform. So if you already have a big following and you really just want to handle the pre-order mechanism to that community, then you don't really have to go to Kickstarter because you already have that community. So we're significantly easier to set up. There's no application process. We're lower fees, and we're significantly more flexible in regard to allowing to integrate third-party applications and just full control and full support from us as well.
And payment processing, is that any easier with you guys?
Yeah, so we're actually open. So we're building out multiple payments processor support solutions. Currently, we're working with our dedicated payments processor to just make it as easy as possible for people to get started.
All right, Marek Zareba, Operations Director of CrowdTilt. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mike.